President Trump goes to the Oval Office tonight to tell the nation there is a crisis on the southern border. The president wants more support for a border wall. The government shutdown overpaying for it has left 800,000 federal workers at risk of losing their paychecks.
Mr. Trump may declare a national emergency in order to build a wall without congressional funding. The defense secretary does have legal authority to, quote, undertake military construction projects not otherwise authorized by law to support troops deployed in a national emergency.
The Pentagon could only use money from its military construction budget that has not been obligated to specific projects. Democrats say they would challenge it in court, but legal experts say that it's not clear if the courts would rule against the president.
In an interview this morning, our Major Garrett asked Vice President Mike Pence about the president's funding request for the wall.
$5.7 billion, is that negotiable? And is that a down payment, or is that all that's required?
We believe $5.7 billion is the proper amount, and we laid out a very specific plan this weekend.
No more funding after that if you get the $5.7 billion
No,
for the wall?
The president's proposal is $5.7 billion to build a steel barrier on the southern border.
Down payment or all of it?
We're also requesting, that would be this year's annual request.
Down payment.
But beyond that, we're requesting significant increases, as Democrats have asked for, in a variety of other areas of law enforcement, of detection technologies, humanitarian and medical assistance. We're at $5.7 billion. The Democrats, 11 Democrats in the United States Senate voted for $1.6 billion. And when we sat down in the Oval Office, after all the cameras left, I asked if Leader Schumer was still at $1.6 billion, and he said, no, we're at $1.3 billion. So they've actually gone down. The president
Is there some number in
position.
between that you would accept, that the president would accept?
Major, as you know, we've been engaged in good faith negotiations, but negotiating is a two-way street. It's time for the president's, it's time for the Democrats, to come back to the table, tell us what they need, tell us what their offer is, and as the president said, we can resolve this issue in a matter of hours.
Major Garrett joins us from the White House. Major, good morning. The vice president said negotiation is a two-way street. Sometimes that street seems empty. Is there anything that you took out of that interview that suggests they're closer at all?
Not really. And the vice president, at one point I asked him, are Democrats, from your vantage point and from the White House vantage point, negotiating in bad faith? Because the vice president kept using the phrase, we're offering things in good faith. So I turned it around. Are Democrats negotiating in bad faith? He said, no, they're just not negotiating at all. But when I asked about that $5.7 billion number, it's clear that's not a negotiable number. At least they're not willing to discuss it in that context, and that it's still a down payment, meaning there's more money this administration would seek in future years for more steel barrier or some kind of wall on the southern border. That's not going to sit well with Democrats. That doesn't appear to me to be an opening to resolve this.
I know you tried to get him to answer the question, is the president going to declare a national emergency?
Right.
He would not answer that question. On one hand, he says this is a national emergency. On the other hand, he says this could take a year. So it just seems, why would a president want anything to take a year if he thinks it's a national emergency? What do you think he's going to, what audience is he trying to reach tonight?
I asked the vice president that. I said, are you trying to hold wavering Republicans in Congress, or are you trying to reach and persuade entrenched Democrats? And the vice president said, the president will try to reach all the American public. But the reality is the White House knows that there are Republicans who are more inclined this week than last week to pull away from this debate and vote for some measures the House Democrats are putting on the floor to reopen the government. The president is using a televised primetime address, the biggest platform he can create, to hold the line on Republican defections. The vice president has been making phone calls to keep Republicans in line. The speech tonight is designed to do precisely that.
All right, Major, thank you. There will be a CBS News special report tonight for President Trump's Oval Office address, and there will be a Democratic response. The whole business begins at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, here on CBS.